Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The guys are here, the chat is ready, and the conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? It's your boys back again, live with another rendition of the Pound for Pound Live. This week I am joined by my main man, Toby D, the original crew back in the house. Jimmy is still out doing the Army thing, which we appreciate him for that.
Yes, sir.
And we appreciate his services and his contributions as always. Mike, as a lot of y'all, a lot of folks right now in the summertime getting caught up with family duties. And hey, that's life. It is understandable. But we are here as we have been for every Wednesday for a while. Toby D, how's it going, my man?
Man, it's going pretty good, man. I do apologize last week, man. I couldn't be with you guys. Of course, life happens. You got to work and things like that. Maybe one day, JR, we'll be able to do this full time, and we won't have to worry about that. But until then, hey, a brother got to work.
That's it. Hey, man, look, we got to eat, right?
yeah, got to eat.
Yeah, I'm about to say, these lights and stuff don't stay on for our good looks, you know what I'm saying? At least not mine, maybe yours.
Nah.
But no, we are quickly approaching the dead period, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
We are quickly coming to the summertime for the Falcons and for ourselves. We are headlong into minicamp, the mandatory variety. I think there's only, 2 more mandatory practices left, and then we'll get back into voluntary. But you had an interesting thought that I want you to get into about that.
Yeah, so what I noticed about Arthur Smith, traditionally a lot of teams don't hold their mandatory minicamp to the last week of their 10-day OTAs. Arthur Smith decided to do his a week before. So now this week they're back to voluntary, which means everyone does not have to show up if they should so choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
I just found that very interesting, and I do want to dig into that because I'm not used to that. Mike Smith and Dan Quinn have both been proponents of holding their mandatory minicamp the last week, and I've been to a couple of those. So,
right.
And that last day they don't do anything really. The main players don't practice and whatnot.
And there's been a handful of teams already that have called it for the summer.
Yeah.
I know the Texans, they called it for the summer, but I mean that ain't no real surprise there. They're trying to rebuild morale down there for sure.
Right.
After everything that transpired with Bill O'Brien and then the cloud that's hanging over Deshaun Watson down there. Yeah. So, and I think also San Francisco, I think they called it as well. So yeah, when you brought that up earlier, like pre-show, man, it did make me realize that seeing guys holding out this week from mandatory minicamp made me realize, okay, we already had ours. Yeah. Initially, I had chalked it up to, you can start doing some, if you're a new coach, you can tend to be able to get to things earlier. Yeah. So I just thought it was maybe that. But when you, like I said, when you brought up the fact that, he decided to do his mandatory in the middle of his 10-day OTAs, that did catch me off guard a little bit. So yesterday we heard from an interview from Calvin Ridley talking about, his procedure that he had done. It seems like it's a very minor procedure, which is good to hear. It sounds like he'll be ready by the start of training camp, which is really good.
Yeah.
I know initially when it came out, there was like people weren't sure if he was going to be available for preseason. Everybody felt like he was going to be available for the start of the season, but maybe not preseason. Now it sounds like he might be available in training camp, which he's going to need to be.
Yeah. So, he's been going through the walkthroughs, which really essentially is more important than, beat writers there watching the general practices or whatever, because the walkthrough is where they actually are going through the actual game plan and what they want to be for the season, which you don't get to see because you're not part of the coaching staff or whatnot involved in those things that are going on behind the scenes. So the walkthroughs are really is where you want him to really be able to show up at, because he'll get more of an understanding on what it is he's trying to do. But it was definitely an interesting interview because he kind of said some things similarly to what Gage said, and I want to get into that too.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you paid attention about that part, but that wide receiver room definitely feels some type of way. They're hearing everything, and for us to think they're not hearing what the fans are saying and reporters and media are saying that, well, they're not going to be really that good because they don't have Julio Jones, they are definitely taking that some kind of way, and they're ready to prove themselves to show, hey, we love Julio, but we can do it too.
Right, and that's kind of things like rolling into this season when, especially after we drafted Kyle Pitts, it was oh man, this offense is going to be unstoppable again, and da-da-da-da. And then as soon as you traded Jones, it was like, well, there goes the season. And it's like, well, hold on now. You still got a very talented, wide receiver room. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're not Julio Jones, but that doesn't mean that they're not respectable in their own right. And I love the obligatory, do you think you can step into Julio Jones? What is he supposed to say? No, I can't do it.
Right.
I can't do it. I mean, we might as well just not. Of course he's going to say he don't feel no pressure and stand up. But on the flip side of that, you got to know, like you said, you got to know he hears it. Yeah. And that in itself is pressure, Yeah. He knows everybody's going to be looking at him to be the number one. But I feel like, he had almost exactly a half a season last year to show it. And he did. He produced. Right. So as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to produce just fine as the number one wide receiver, especially in a Arthur Smith coach system.
Right.
A system that is predicated, no, not predicated, but really focuses a lot on yards after the catch, creating separation for his receivers. That is something that I think that these guys are going to really benefit from.
Yeah. You mentioned a stat in your the two tight end set show about how Arthur used two tight ends 33% of the time. Mm-hmm. I think that number's going to go up exponentially.
I think so too. Like it's something we can get into here and chat. I really want y'all to chime in on this. And I'll go ahead and put it up front. There isn't necessarily a ton to talk about tonight, so we definitely want chat to be involved as much as y'all want to be. But like up there in Tennessee, the focus was Derrick Henry. It was Derrick Henry and it was A.J. Brown. Arthur Smith rightfully tailored his offense towards that.
Yeah.
Down here, the focus should be the tight ends and Calvin Ridley. You're going to he should use the running game to supplement everything else. I feel like he's still going to try to produce with the run game as he should. But I think the focus of this offense is still going to be a passing offense, and it's going to. I think a lot of the focus is going to be on, the tight ends for sure, because that's a strength of this team right now. Right. In Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts, you have Hayden Hurst, who Matt Ryan has already developed a rapport with, to the tune stats that match a lot of what Janu Smith gave you up there in Tennessee. And Ryan gets a rap of needing a year or two to adjust, but if you go back and look at it, he didn't need a year with Calvin Ridley. He didn't need a year with Hayden Hurst. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's going to need a year with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
He's getting that adjustment time now, and you saw that rollout, touchdown that he threw in camp that they were posting on social media. He's getting that timing now. So I don't think there's going to be much of a transition period.
Well, Matt Ryan has dealt with so many different types of receivers and tight ends now that he can kind of have a good grasp on how to get that tight end or receiver to do what it is he needs to have done. And you're seeing in a lot of those photos him directing traffic, basically, you know, letting guys know, okay, how he wants them to run a certain route. And you're seeing already confirmation that Arthur Smith is giving him that freedom to do that, what shows he's already got a pretty good grasp of that playbook.
That's right.
Because for you to be able to do that, you have to be able to understand what's going on in that playbook and where guys need to be.
Right. And, you know, the like kind of the header or, you know, the thought process, the topic behind this the particular live stream tonight is more about who do we think you know, is going to step up, or who do we think under this new regime is going to thrive, breakout star, however you want to label it. And one of the guys that I look to step up and really cement himself is a Russell Gage. I think that he has already shown that he's a dependable third down, you know, chain moving wide receiver, and I think that I think he's going to take the next step in this system, in a system that, you know, helps and allows, you know, for the yards after the catch.
Right.
You know, I think we have some really good yards after catch type receivers, and I believe Russell Gage is a guy who's going to like cement himself, you know, as a solid number 2 this year. I think he's going to show you that he's more than just a slot receiver. What are your opinions on Gage this year?
I mean, you can tell he's very eager. Just like I was saying with his words were similar to what Calvin Ridley was saying, that, you know, yeah, man, I mean, basically we love Julio Jones, but we got some talent still over here.
That's right.
And we are out to prove that we don't have to have Julio Jones to still be successful. He's taught us a lot that we can take and roll with. But I love when Calvin Ridley said, you know, the biggest thing that Julio taught him was confidence. Once you know that you can play in this league, which Calvin really figured that out, that he can play with the best of them, and has already seen a lot of double teams. We watched that on film.
Right.
So when he was getting asked those questions, there was nothing for him to really answer, because if you've been watching film, you would know he's had his moments of getting double teamed and still has done well. He don't have the physical physique that Julio has, but if y'all watch the video I did last year on Calvin Ridley, having a breakout season such as he did, there's not a route that Julio runs that Calvin don't run.
That's it.
They run similar routes. He just don't possess the physical body that Julio does.
Right, exactly.
It's the only difference.
Right. And now is his time that is really going to cement himself. And as far as that wide receiver room goes, I mean, you got, you know, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Olamide Zaccheaus, Frank Darby, Tajay Sharp, Chris Rowland, Jimmy's guy, Christian Blake, and then they just added Jeff Badgett. I'm not 100% sure. Like, I haven't done much reading on him, obviously, because they just added that guy. But he seems to be a speedster who's going to come in and compete for, you know, kick return or, you know, that type of position.
Yeah.
But with that being our opening salvo, let's go ahead and jump into chat here a little bit. Woon Carter says, rise up, family. Glad to see the guys on a Wednesday edition. Been waiting all week.
Rise up.
What's up, Woon? Glad you're here. Dexter Vlash gave us the big thumbs up. Appreciate you being here.
Right
Chris
on.
James says, good evening, all the way from the West Coast. That's right. He is on the West
All
Coast.
right.
I mean, I appreciate y'all tuning in.
Man.
Same thing with Genuine Music says, what's up, fellas? King says, yeah. What's going on, King? I'm glad you're in here tonight. Fall Star Falcon says, what's good, fellas? Man, what's good is being here tonight. That's what's good.
Yeah.
Been looking forward to this all day. Tony Wright says, what's good, Toby D and JR? You know,
What's
hey,
up?
that's it. We live in it. Yabo Deezy says, your boy Deezy says, I can turn off the NFL Network now, LOL. Well, all right, well, I appreciate y'all.
We humbly appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Joshua Mulvaney says, what's up from New York? Hey, what's going on? All right, then.
East Coast and
Everybody
further
all
East
over the
Coast
place
in the house.
tonight. Now, Tony Wright says that San Francisco called theirs because they had some significant injuries, one to their starting running back. I guess I must have missed that.
Yeah, I must have missed it too.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they're.
No, he always keep up with it.
Oh, yeah, Tony, he keeps it straight.
Yes, sir.
Dexter says, even without Julio, I doubt this team. Even with Julio, I doubt that this team will be good. Just my opinion. But I don't know what's on this team to say that they'll strive. Hey, that's it, dude. I mean, I understand where you're coming from on that. Yep. You know, like here on Pound for Pound, we tend to skew a little bit more toward the optimistic side. But I can completely understand how you can look at the roster and go, well, maybe next year. You know, because I mean, in a lot of ways, this roster is going to have to play above its station, so to speak.
Right.
But I think that they have it in them, and I think this coaching staff is what's going to be the difference. Speed Falcon for Life says, what's good, fellas? What's going on, Speed? I'm glad you're in here tonight. Tony Wright says, I agree, Toby, as I believe that Matt Ryan will be an MVP candidate again under Arthur Smith. To me, Arthur Smith is a better play caller than Shanahan. Well, we're going to see. Like, it's not just the play calling, really. Yeah. It's how can he manage the play calling and being a head coach. You know, It's not like we're just hiring him to be the OC. We get caught up in that and we get lost in that a lot, but we're hiring him to run this whole shit and make sure everything is going. Yep. So he's not just focusing on the offense. I mean, he's going to have to lean on Dave Ragone and Charles Landon to to do their jobs and to make his game day easier. You know, so. It's going to be a tall task, but I think he can do it. Chris Jameson says, has Deidre Sanat been cut yet? Not yet, but I think it's coming. Like the man who is on a milk carton already in the wanted in the missing person section, not showing up to camp and stuff. Like maybe he already knows.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall.
You know,
the writing's on the wall.
I guess, like I said, I can't see him sticking any much longer for sure. Your boy says it feels like it's going to be like 2016 with 9 different players catch the ball in a game. That's possible. I mean, we haven't there's nothing from Tennessee, like his days in Tennessee, that says he's going to be that, but it could turn into that. I could see where where that could be the thought, but who knows how that's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rio wants us to move past the Julio talk and says Ridley is special and he will be great for us. Exactly. That's right.
And you know what? And we definitely will, and we'll continue right there. I do believe Ridley. Yeah. I always believed in Ridley, and I knew this last year that he was going to have a breakout season, and he did. He turned in almost 1,400 yards and almost 10 touchdowns, and he's been steady when it comes to the touchdown area, and I think that'll go. I think that'll go up actually.
I think so too. I think
touchdowns will go up.
One of Arthur Smith's calling cards has been the production in the red zone.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why that's going to stop per se. Yeah.
Yep.
Dark Falcon, it says, imagine having Ridley, Roddy, and Julio at the same time. Well, that would be that's like some Madden Ultimate Team stuff going on right there. But that would have been fun. Rio follows it up with, I think with our team we have so many players that can do different things. Patterson is kind of a do-it-all guy. Gage can throw the ball. He said, I do expect some trickery. And that's possible. With it'll be interesting to see how creative Arthur Smith gets with that kind of stuff. Dwayne Bodie says, what do y'all think about Matt Ryan finally having an offensive-minded head coach with O-line experience and open-minded to allow players to play for the strength? To me, that's one of the intriguing parts. We've never seen Ryan have this type of a staff before. You had close to it when Shanahan was here, but I think this time around with having the creative offensive-minded head coach and having a legendary defensive coordinator, if Dean Pease produces what he has produced everywhere he has been in multiple different stops, multiple different types of rosters, I believe, that this year is going to be fun. I don't know exactly standing wise how competitive we're going to be, as far as in the division or what have you. But I believe this team's going to be a fun team to watch. And I definitely think next year we're going to be in a better position to compete for the division for sure.
Right.
Like, I feel like this year, even before a snap is played, I feel like we could sneak into that last wild card spot possibly. But I think next year we could definitely compete for the division. So what are your thoughts on Ryan finally having this type of a coaching staff?
Well, you and I talked about it a couple of years ago when we thought Dan Quinn was initially going to be fired, but he wasn't. Remember, we were saying that we felt like that if Matt Ryan could get someone, an offensive-minded coach, would be better for him because, to help him finish out his career.
Right.
And then you have someone, you don't have to worry about them being a head coach somewhere else because they're already your head coach. And we talked about the benefit of that. I think that's going to benefit Matt Ryan well, and it's going to benefit Arthur Smith too because Matt Ryan will be able to run a lot of the offense in the no huddle. They were, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but they were number 3 in the league last year in running a no huddle behind Arizona and the Giants.
Right. And I think that's something. Yeah, I think that's something we're going to do quite a bit here, and that's something that Matt Ryan has excelled at throughout his career. Simplistic Grace says, "What's up, y'all? What's going on, Simplistic? Glad you're in here with us tonight." Joshua says, "I found an interesting article that Chris Lindstrom was interviewed about Arthur Smith. It sounds like there's a whole new vibe with the O-line and the respect for Coach Smith. They're gelling like a felon in the A." That's the thing is like, for the first time in forever, I'm actually excited about the O-line coach. There's an article out there. If y'all Google Dwayne Ledford effect, you'll find an article about his time out there in Louisville, when he was the O-line coach and OC out there. And everywhere this man has went, run game has went up in efficiency and production, and sacks have went down. Okay? Those are two things I like to hear.
Yeah,
straight up.
Love it.
You love it.
Love it.
And so you pair that, and he's regarded as one of the best offensive line coaches in the game. Kind of like Mike Tice back in the day.
Right.
Mike Tice was considered one of the best, considered to be able to make, steel out of soup cans, so to speak. And Dwayne Ledford tends to have that same kind of talk about him, and it generally has me excited about what this offensive line is going to do. And they have routinely said, outside of Lindstrom and outside of Matthews, everything else is up for grabs. I mean, to the point where Jalen Mayfield has been taking snaps at right tackle.
Yeah, see, and
that speaks a lot right there. Yeah. When you start supplanting former first-round picks that you gave up draft capital to come back up and get, that lets you know that ain't nobody safe. No. And I truly believe that they, took a look at that, even like the whole roster, top to bottom, and what nobody, safe. Obviously, like we've learned a lot about the behind-the-scenes part of the Jones trade, but just the fact that they actually traded him tells you that nobody's safe.
Right.
So that right there, that accountability is that competition. I don't know how many times like I've heard that from the players. I mean, Russell Gage even talked about being like the accountability. You're hearing reports that if somebody jumps off sides, they're running a lap. I mean, Kyle Pitts ran a lap or doing push-ups. So the accountability is there, and that's something I feel like we haven't had. Yeah. Especially with this past regime.
And the guys are actually embracing it.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot right there because they want to win too.
That's right.
I mean, Calvin hasn't won since he's been here, and he put an emphasis on that. I mean, he mentioned winning about 3-4 times.
Right.
Because I mean, you're tired of you're setting all kind of records and things like that, but you're not getting the most important stat.
Yeah,
and that's wins.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So let's get back into the chat room. I appreciate that comment there. Mark Hill says, "Rise up, guys. Love the show. fan for a few years from the UK. Heck yeah.
Right
Appreciate
on.
that, Mark. I appreciate you watching us there. Tony Wright says, go back and look at the 2019 playoff game with Tennessee at New England. Arthur Smith was obviously OC, Dean Pease was the DC, and they dominated that game, running and passing and controlling the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the kind of ball game they're going to want to try to produce here. Ice Cream Man says, do we have any shot at getting Stephon Gilmore and Sony Michel from New England, or is that too much? Gilmore might be too much. Sony Michel, I've heard like rumors that he might get cut before the season even starts, so you might be able to pick him up for much nothing. But if he's getting cut, that means there's a reason, you know. So he's got like knee injury issues. But Stephon Gilmore, I think he's holding out right now. I think him and Xavier Howard have been rumored about, you know, trades and stuff like that. And now with the freed up money, it wouldn't surprise me if they pulled off something of that nature to, you know, solidify that back end of the defense even more.
Yeah, and you know, and they could, but you know, just my opinion, I think they're going to wait until they see how guys perform in these pads. And I wished a beat writer had asked what was Arthur Smith's philosophy on how soon they can get in the pads. Because I think the first 2-3 days, the NFL will not allow you to get in pads.
Right.
But after that, you can get into them as soon as that 2-day grace period or 2 or 3 day grace period is over with. And you know, Dan, now that's one thing I give Dan Quinn credit for. He didn't waste time when that grace period was over. Yeah, they was getting in them pads.
Right.
Now, Mike Smith would wait a week.
Yeah, no, like,
you know,
Quinn he wanted to hear pads popping. And I will say this, you know, we've already gotten a quote saying that, you know, Arthur Smith saying, you know, you can't really analyze, like really talk about this stuff until we get some pads on.
Right.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he'll hold out like Mike Smith did, but we'll see. King 7 says, I think our defense will take a small step up, but our defense will take a small step up, but our defense will take a small step back. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, but he says no matter who we have out there on offense, if Matt ain't standing up straight, it'll be over because Matt's slow. I get you with the whole, he's not a scrambling quarterback. I get that. And you do have a point there. If this offensive line doesn't, come together and protect it, it's going to be, a rough time. If they ain't opening holes for the running backs and if they ain't keeping Matt Ryan up, no, it's not going to look good. So, I get your point there. Dark Falcon says, thanks for reading my comment. Rise up and go Hawks. Game 5. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
That's right. The
Let's
Hawks.
go.
Yep. Hopefully the Hawks can,
Let's go.
They look kind of rough, them back-to-back games there, but they come back and tied the series. So hopefully they can get it going and advance into the Eastern Conference Finals. That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fred Butts thinks the Falcons are going to surprise the NFL. Well, I mean, right now, if they turn in a winning season, it'll surprise the NFL. If they just start winning, that will surprise, Your boy says our defense going to surprise a lot of people this year. We win in the South. I'm calling it now. All right. Yeah, your boy Deez is going to call it. He says we win in the South. I mean, at some point in time, Father Time's got to affect Tom Brady, right? I mean, he's eventually got to fall off the cliff, huh?
Yeah, I will say this. Arthur Smith has got to come through with a winning season.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because when you come out and say that if Arthur Blank then were looking for a rebuild, they picked the wrong guy, you got to turn in a winning season.
That's
your
it.
First season.
Yeah,
period,
you've got, even if it's like you got to really make a strive. I guess right now I'm hesitant to say a winning season just because I'm gun shot at this junction. But you've got to show like competitive.
There, so
I know.
He can't go back.
Oh, I get you on that.
Yeah.
But you definitely have got to put out a competitive team.
Yes, exactly.
Like that has got to happen.
Yes.
Like you can't go out there and be getting embarrassed and
No.
trying to act like, oh, well, we're still learning. No, you got to
No.
put out, like, if you're losing, it better be like in the last seconds by a daggum point or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have a watermelon game like you did against Dallas last season.
Yeah.
You can't be the butt end of jokes anymore. Like that he can't do, right?
Nope.
Let's see. Your boy Bell. Oh, we're going to have a your boy and your boy on battle over here. Your boy Bell says, I think McGarry is inside getting bigger and ready for right guard. Noticed how Lindstrom volunteered that he'd be willing to play either guard spot. That's an interesting take. I don't know if I've seen him, and I don't know if I has seen anybody say he's taking snaps inside. But I could have missed that. I don't read every single solitary thing that comes out, and obviously we're not available. I just know I read that Mayfield was taking taking snaps at right tackle, which is the position he played in college. So, he mainly played right tackle. King 7 says Gilmore would be a good move, but we don't have the cash and we still haven't signed everyone. You're right, we haven't signed everyone, but we have the cash to sign everyone. And when that signing is done, you're going to be left with, I want to say, north of $7 million. I think when the full class is signed. Plus, you still have options on the table with, signing or extending Grady Jarrett. You could go ahead and sign Ridley if you wanted to, extend him, give yourself more cap space if you wanted to do something like that with Gilmore. So money, the part I'm not necessarily worried about. I wasn't worried about signing the draft class. I don't think that they had to trade Jones to make that happen. I don't think those two were tied together at all. So the money part they can always make work.
Well, I'll tell you this. Now that, the trade has gone down, guys have something to worry about because they could potentially be cut.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to get more money too.
That's it.
So I wouldn't be sitting there, getting too comfortable.
No, they better not.
Tyler Davidson.
Yeah, tell you exactly.
I wouldn't be getting too comfortable. And you heard Arthur Smith already allude to it. He's excited to see what those inside guys are going to look like when them pads get on. And it's a lot of competition in that middle.
And they brought in a couple of undrafted guys who are the prototypical size that Pease likes to use. So like Tyler Davison. To him, Deidre Sonata, we brought up earlier, like those guys are going to have to watch out for sure. King brings up a point. He says, I'm hearing that Pease has been trying Oliver at the free safety spot a bit. What do y'all think about that?
Okay. Go ahead. You go ahead.
All right, I'm going to start off and I'm going to let you go because I seem to see a lot of confusion because the media team, when they're listing the pictures, they're listing Isaiah Oliver as a free safety. But on the app and on the website, the team website, he's still listed at corner. Now, why is that a big deal? Okay, in a Dean Pease system, something he has done pretty much everywhere he has been is what a lot of people call a rover, a star, a bullet. It's basically your nickel corner or your third your third safety. Okay, that's the role that he's been playing in practice. That's the role that they were excited about when he moved to that role at the end of last season or towards the middle of the end of last season when he started playing closer to the line of scrimmage. Like, that is a positionless role, basically, if that makes any sense. It's not a corner. It's not a free safety. You could call it a nickelback, but
hybrid.
Yeah, it's a hybrid role, and I think because of his size, he tends to just get listed more as a free safety, but he's not playing anything any different than he's done the last half of the season. And in our Creepers video that me and you did, I think it's a role that he should excel at, or
Right.
So is that your thoughts? I want you to expand on that if I missed anything there.
No. We had talked about that, of course. Uh, I'm just gonna be honest with you. It still remains to be seen what Isaiah Oliver can become in the defense. Because I'm still, yeah, we know he got better because he played a similar role down the stretch for, Raheem Morris and Jeff Albert. But I'm still not quite sold on what he brings to the table necessarily. I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see if Dean Pease can.
I may seem like I'm excited about Isaiah Oliver. The only role I actually see him excelling at, if he's going to excel at any role, is that nickel role, is that role that has him blitzing as much as he's dropping into coverage. Because Isaiah Oliver, he's a good open field tackler.
Right.
He's a physical corner, but I mean, I don't want him covering people deep. That much is for sure. I want him staying closer to the line of scrimmage, covering tight ends or whatnot at most, right? So I don't. That's about the only role I see him playing in, but that doesn't mean that he's going to stick there. He could get supplanted by Jalen Hawkins. He could get supplanted by Eric Harris. He could get supplanted by Darren Hall. There's a lot of players that could come in and take that spot.
Right.
From Isaiah Oliver. I don't think he's safe by any stretch of the imagination. He's going to have to come in and earn it and prove it. That much is for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay. Rio's talking about, I like Christian Blake. He might surprise the folks. We'll have to wait to get Jimmy back on here. That's his guy right there. Cleo McCowan says, so what defense, I'm assuming what defense are we running? If you've heard any of the interviews with Dean Pease, they ask him, are you a 3-4 or are you a 4-3? He says yes. So the best that I've come to see out of what I have watched his defenses, especially the 2 years in Tennessee, he is that Creeper's defense is the best way to really describe what he likes to run. Your boy Deezy says very multiple. He runs what he thinks is going to work that week.
There you go. He runs whatever the offense don't match up well against. So if I'm watching something on film and they don't do well against 3-4 defenses, that's what I'm gonna be that week.
That's what we doing that week.
Yeah.
I think the past 5 years or so, we have been conditioned to think of us as a 4-3 defense that runs a cover 3 shell on the back end and stays in zone. Because that's all Dan Quinn did. And I'm not trying to, take this opportunity to crap on Dan Quinn, but the more I listen to Arthur Smith's interviews, it's such a stark difference between him and Dan Quinn. Listening to Dan Quinn sounded like I was listening to a used car salesman in a sense. He's going to tell you whatever he thinks sounds good. But it's almost like he didn't believe it. I don't know if that's the right word. He didn't sound convincing. How about that? It was a lot of generalization. I come away from his press conference going, did he actually say anything other than just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo, a bunch of coach speak? But listening to the interviews, the podcast, the things like that I've listened to with Arthur Smith, he seems like he's a better football mind.
Yeah,
I guess is what I'm getting at, and that gives me confidence. And listening to the interviews and the podcasts that I've listened to with Dean Pease, I'm really excited about his football mind.
Right.
So as far as what defense are we gonna run? Yes, I think is the answer. Yeah. It's gonna be whatever Dean Pease thinks is going to stop the opponent.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got. somebody else think it was Fall Star Falcon says Darby reminds me of Antonio Brown for some reason. The sixth round draft pick might be good. And Darby right now is like his energy is definitely catching a lot of like fans' attention. I can easily see by the end of training camp he's going to be a fan favorite for sure. But with that being said, at least right now, he's actually making some pretty good catches, and he's looking good out there on what we have been able to see.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to keep on moving. Chris Jameson says Tyler Davidson could get cut, cover half of Gilmore's salary. But that's the thing. Like, for those folks who felt like we had to trade to open up salary, that's not the case. You know, we could still open up even more salary.
And see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so whatever they feel like they need to do, I really feel like that they can pull off whatever they need to pull off. So it's just going to be whatever the asking price is, right? See, Ice Cream Man says, we already have Harmon. We might as well get Gilmore. The secondary, that secondary would look hungry. Yeah, I mean, what Dean Pease has added is a bunch of playmakers in the defense. Ice Cream Man says, Richie Grant about to show out like Ed Reed. I mean, Grant is, a ball hawk type safety. Then, same thing with Harmon's opportunistic. So, yeah, I'm excited about what this secondary is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Jay Strong says growing pains for Kyle Pitts. Well, I mean, he's a rookie. Yeah. So they're always going to have, he's going to have growing pains. It's going to take him time to get used to. Who was it that said when they described, one word they used to describe Pitts was speed?
He has real speed.
Calvin Ridley. That was Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
And coming from Calvin Ridley, that's
so he looks great. He looks great early on.
Right. So I'm pretty excited about Pitts, obviously. But yeah, from what we've seen, like he sounds like he's taken to, getting up to speed pretty quickly and taking the coaching pretty good. Like I said, he made a mistake and was made to run a lap. So that's good that he's being held accountable as well.
Yep.
Accountability and competition is things that are going to improve this team.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff alone is going to have a very positive effect. On his team, in my opinion.
You are absolutely right, because you're not going to be the one guy that wants to still be running and making mistakes in front of your teammates.
That's right.
So eventually it's going to click in your mind, I got to do this right.
That's it. That's the thing. It's eventually going to.
I don't want to be that guy.
No, you do not want to be that guy.
Continue to be. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's a deal where, like I've heard of coaches, not so much in the pros, but you holding people at practice longer because you can't get it right. People gonna start looking at you like, come on, dog. So.
Yep.
Let's see here. ATL Faithful says, if we got Gilmore, we would be straight. Yeah, I mean, I think Fabian Moreau is going to produce better than he did in Washington. I think in Washington he was asked to go inside, which listening to some of these group chats that I try to frequent during the week while I'm at work, they have some guys in there who specialize. I don't know if any of y'all follow him. His name's Juke on I don't know his full Twitter name, but anyway, he really pays attention to the secondary a lot. And one of the things I heard him say is like that Fabian Moreau seems to be better on the outside versus being forced on the inside like he was in Washington. So if he comes in and shows and competes and shows that he can be outside opposite of A.J. Terrell, then, hopefully we can get back to seeing a more productive Fabian Moreau.
Yeah. So there's definitely some guys that have already been set that if you want the spot, you got to beat them.
Right.
Fabian Monroe is one of them.
Yep.
If you want that second cornerback spot, he's the guy you're going to have to beat going into camp.
Yeah.
The left guard spot, whether people want to hear it or not, Josh Andrews is the guy that you're going to have to beat if you want that spot. And I personally don't believe he's giving it up. I'm probably one of the very few who actually believes he fits the mold of what D. Ledford wants on that front line.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I haven't looked into Josh Andrews a ton, but the few things I've read, he hasn't been very good in the places that he's been. So I'm interested to see if these coaching staff, if they feel like he's one of the, he's the best 5 to put in front of Ryan, then I hope that he shows it.
He's a lot more nastier than what I've watched film on him, man, and stuff I've seen with him when he was with the Jets. He's got a nasty vibe to him.
Okay.
And I'm talking a good nasty vibe.
A good nasty vibe. Okay.
He one of them types that, hey, you messing with Matt Ryan, he gonna tear your head off.
Hey,
and you
look,
can see
we ain't had that in a
attitude.
minute, so I'll take that.
Exactly.
I'll take that. King says, so guys, let me get your opinion. If we run a 4-3, who would you put on the D line with the guys that we have right now? Also, Pease, I think Grady might be moving around the line. Also, Grady's gonna move up and down. In a 4-3 set, and y'all keep your eyes peeled because I'm gonna try to get out a video this weekend on this topic on the D line. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm starting to do some research there. And in a 4-3 set, I could easily see, Grady and Marlon Davidson on the inside, and then your outsides being Dante Fowler and either like Stephen Means or an Ogundiji on, bracketing those guys. But definitely, keep your eyes peeled to the channel because that's something I'm going to dive into this week. Kind of like I did with the tight ends, but this time I'm going to be taking a look at the defensive line. So, what's your thoughts there on the 4-3 on a 4-3 front? I guess you could say. I'm
going to throw John Kaminsky in there to replace Stephen Means.
Okay.
I think people are sleeping on this young man here, man. He's not being talked about a lot, if at all.
No, he's definitely not.
Since OTAs have started. And I really think that Dean Pease could really do something with this guy. His athleticism is out the roof. And if used right, I think he can terrorize some people, man.
No, that's good. Yeah, he's a guy who, in a lot of because we have a lot of similar defensive linemen as far as body types and stuff like that. He's a guy who has getting lost in the shuffle. Yeah. So, he's a guy who I hope does end up showing out because I really liked him coming out of college. I knew he had an uphill battle, from a smaller school, translating, but I felt like if he got it together, put it together, he does have that athleticism. So, that's a good guy to pull up there. Jay Strong tipped us $5. Thank you, Jay. If you want,
appreciate that.
You didn't put a comment or anything. You're more than welcome to throw something out there, and I'll definitely read it for sure. Let's jump back up a little bit. Let's see, where was I at? Nope, that's where I was. Okay. Ice Cream Man says, ain't our first game at home against the Eagles. You are correct. Our home opener is.
Forward to it.
Yep, that's going to be a good
game.
To it. Dwayne Bodie says, Dean P said he is rushing everybody. He said he might be using the water boy or the equipment manager. That's right. He's going to rush everybody. And that's something I plan on bringing up. I don't expect big sack numbers from just one person. Actually, if you really want to get down to it, I expect low sack numbers, but I expect a lot of people to have them.
Yeah.
So I expect a higher sack total, but guys who a lot more guys getting involved, I guess you could say. Casey Costa says, if Pease can get Marlon Davidson and Fowler cooking, we might have some action. That's the thing. We in a way we kind of overlooked Davidson because he had a forgettable, rookie season. But there was a reason he had forgettable rookie season. He had injuries. He dealt with COVID. You had the weird offseason. Then you had a regime change or like a coaching change in the middle of the whole deal. So it's a wonder that A.J. Terrell looked as good as he did last year. So, the coaching staff is already speaking pretty glowingly about Marlon Davidson. So, let's see. I think I actually have, like, if we can get back the Marlon Davidson of 2019 in Auburn, where he had 11.5 tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks, dude, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, I tell you, Arthur Smith doesn't give a lot of kudos to a lot of players.
No.
But he's already mentioning Dante Fowler is look greatly in shape and look good out there now, albeit it's in shorts.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you, he'll be one first one to tell you. Right now, you can't get much, of a diagnosis on what the team is based on these guys being in shorts until camp. But for him to already glowingly say things like that about Dante Fowler tells me something. This guy's been studying his playbook and already came in there doing mandatory minicamp, doing what he needs to do.
That's it. And that's the thing. Is like,
you have to like that.
Yeah, you have to, especially when you're willing to like tie money to production.
Yes. It's motivated.
Yeah, that's even more of a motivator.
Yeah.
You know? And I think like I hope to, I hope Fowler gets closer to his LA days versus the, Jaguar days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I think, again, I think Pease is the guy who can bring it out. I mean, if he, like Wade Phillips, if he's got blitzes coming from everywhere, then you're going to have a tough time keying in on one person.
Yeah.
And so, you should hopefully be able to get, some good production out of him.
I don't know if you read the article with Michael Walker.
I didn't.
On the AJC. He said that Dean Pease is actually implementing some things they did in Baltimore that they didn't do in Tennessee.
Huh.
And that tells you something right there, that if he's implementing some stuff they did with the Ravens that they didn't do in Tennessee, he sees something.
Yeah, I mean, look,
they see something in his defense.
Right. And in Baltimore, he got a lot of average people paid good money.
Yeah, he did.
I always bring up Paul Kruger, who got paid a hefty sum by the Browns to go there and do nothing, basically. But so yeah, I'm definitely excited about. I'm as excited about Dean Pease as I am about any player on the team.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm excited about this coaching staff as I am with any player right now. Really, Tony Wright says, "Jr. with our linebacking core in the 3-4 alignment, other than Dante Fowler playing one outside linebacker spot, who will play the other outside linebacker?" Okay, in a 3-4 alignment, the other outside linebacker is going to be, I would think like a Steven Means, I think is listed as an outside linebacker. You got Barkevius Mingo, who's listed as an outside linebacker. But you also have, I don't think you're going to play a lot of traditional 3-4, right? Like from what we saw in, especially on that creepers and pressures, simulated pressures video, I think you're going to end up really with 3 down linemen, and instead of having an outside linebacker, I think you're going to have that nickel position. I think that's how I see that going. But as far as traditional outside linebacker, you could put, like I said, you could put Barkevius Mingo there. You could put I think you could play. I really feel like you could play Ogundeji there. I would have to look and see who else they had listed as an outside linebacker.
Well, JMT, my guy.
JMT.
Really
I knew there was a guy I was forgetting.
That's a sneaker for me, dog.
I even put up a video, a clip last night on Twitter. Thank you for bringing him up, because I was like, there was a guy right on the tip of my tongue that I was like, there's another outside linebacker that I'm actually pretty excited about, and it's JTM. I think he could perform well in this system. He had. I'm trying to pull up that.
JTM. Yep.
Right. I want to try to pull
up
that.
I think I really believe in him, man. Especially after what he was able to do in a short period
Yeah, okay.
last year.
Right. He played 35% of our defensive snaps last year and put up 15 pressures, 9 hurries, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. Like, that's active in 35% of the snaps.
Yeah.
So I think given a bigger chance to play in a bigger role, I definitely think that he could surprise some people for sure.
Yeah.
Let's
He's
see.
been putting in a lot of work too.
Yes, he has. He's been putting
in
a
the
lot of
offseason.
work. He says, I think, Tony Wright follows it up, says, I think our 2 inside linebackers will be Foye and Michael Walker, which means Deion Jones will be the other outside linebacker. See, I've seen people float that. In that scenario, I would put Michael Walker at the outside linebacker because he did more of that in college. Like, Michael Walker played defensive end. He played outside linebacker. He played safety. If I'm running 3 linebackers out there like that and one of those 3 has to be my outside, I'm putting Michael Walker in that position. Because I want Foye Luakon and I want Deion Jones rushing from the A and B blitz, gaps.
Yeah.
Because Deion showed good flashes of that last year with Ulbrich when he took over.
I just think that linebacker group, man, I really got some belief in them guys.
Oh,
I
man,
think they're going to be good, man. I think that Dean Pease is going to be able to get a lot of production out of them.
Right.
Brandon, I think, what's his name? Brandon Copeland.
Yep, Brandon Copeland's another guy.
I think he's going to fit well because he's already played in a similar defense to this one. I think I really believe that we're going to have a real tough, competitive linebacking group this year.
Right, and right now, like on the 16th of June, if you had to ask me, JR, what's the strength of your defense? Right now, I'm saying it's the linebacker core.
Yeah.
Like I got more faith in the linebacker core than I do the defensive line or the secondary at this moment.
I would have to agree.
Like, I feel like the secondary's going. I feel like the secondary's going to step up. I think there's still a lot of question marks on the defensive line, which is why I'm wanting to dig into it a little bit more. As far as the defense goes, the linebackers are the ones that I feel the most comfortable with right at this moment.
Yeah.
I'm with you. And I feel like they're very versatile too in what they can do.
Yep.
And so that I'm good with. Chief Nate says we're coming out straight out surprising the NFL. It's just that simple. Just watch. He said, and the defense will be hitting hard, messing with Dean Pease. That's the thing. Is that's one of the things he said that he saw on tape right away. Is that that this defense likes to hit. So that's something he's going to work with, and it may be why he's pulling more from the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee, Titans. So,
and Michael Walker alluded to that. He said that was one of the qualities that he said that Dean Pease said he loved because they can run and they can hit.
That's it.
He stayed true to that.
Yep. And Chris Jameson's brought up a point. He says, like you discussed in the Creepers video, Deion Jones could play that star nickel position as well. Deion could. Straight up. That's the thing about that position, that star position. There's a lot of guys who could play that, which then makes that role even more versatile.
Ooh, boy, could you imagine? I mean, Deion would fit perfectly.
Oh yeah, Deion in that rover position.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Heck yes, that is something that
a good one.
would and could suit him very, very well. But I would just that would require Foye or Michael Walker stepping up big, because I don't know if I'd want to necessarily lose Deion, calling the plays, with the dot or whatever.
Right.
Let's see. We're going to take a few more because if you believe it or not, we have bumped up over an hour already.
Oh, wow.
So me and you over here thinking that, well, whoa, we ain't going to have nothing to talk about. We say that every time, and then before I know it, we've talked over an hour. All right. So anyway, Tony Wright says, we have the depth of the linebacker position too, Toby, with inside linebacker Brandon Copeland, rookie free agent, inside linebacker Enroll Thompson out of Mississippi State, Barkevius Mingo, and rookie linebacker Cove Jones. Yeah, like I said, the linebacker depth is good, and like I said, it's the one position I feel comfortable with. And And now Casey says, I believe the safety position has improved. I believe it has improved over last year, but I want to see it on the field, before I really say that it has improved. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still, trusting a rookie to a starting spot, and that can always go one way or the other. That includes Kyle Pitts too.
Right.
So, but let's see. D-Rye says, have y'all talked about Marlon Davidson? We did talk about Marlon Davidson, but don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to put out a D-line video for this weekend, and I'm going to go into a little bit more depth about Marlon because I think he's a guy who is going to start to show the kind of force that he can bring.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's about it, man. You got anything else you want to bring up? Anything else we missed? Oh, okay. I do want to talk on one or bring up one point. For this is something that has popped up quite a bit, and I know Toby's about the same. There's a lot of folks out there who've been like who'll leave a comment underneath our videos or whatnot, acting like we've like listened to their stuff and hijacked their ideas. That's not something we do, like at all. Like to a point where like I actively don't listen to any other podcasts or. I've gotten to the point where I barely listen to the radio because I want my opinion to be my own, and I know like Toby and a lot of guys feel the same way. So if you're a content creator out there and you feel like we have taken your idea, we have not taken your idea. We just all cover the same team and we probably think similarly, So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there at the end. I'm not really ragging on the guy who said that, but it's the third or fourth time that's come up, and I felt like I needed to say something there about that. But no, like I said, we are our ideas are as our own as they can be when we're talking about the same team, right? Eventually, we are going to hit on topics that are similar. It happens, right? Let's see. And Antonio Holloway says, anything stood out to y'all about OTAs that you like so far? It's really hard to tell. Like as far as like them guys being in shorts, I liked. It's just where guys are lining up. I like the fact that Kyle Pitts has been lining up all over the place. That's encouraging. I do find it interesting that Jalen Mayfield has lined up at right tackle. Anything that stood out to you in these OTAs?
The biggest thing I've seen is, like you said, Frank Darby's been one of the highlights, and Matt Ryan constantly hitting both tight ends.
Right.
Hurst or Pitts.
That's it.
And you saw one where 2 times now, touchdown in the end zone where he rolled out and hit Pitts in the end zone. Yep. And he hit Hayden Hurst in the end zone.
That's right.
So that tells you these tight ends are going to be setting up to get a lot of touchdowns in that red zone area, man.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. I think the tight ends are definitely going to eat. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today. We appreciate everybody who has stopped by. As always, y'all can, if you want, you can follow us or subscribe or however you want to call it on Patreon. We put up extra videos and you get access to a pound for pound only chat if you want it. And you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grimm1128, GRIMM1128. Toby D?
Toby D 1991.
That's it. And you can catch Jimmy Obama on Twitter and Mike Dub. So y'all follow us all up, and as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Rise up.